Welcome to the fifth edition of Hear Me Out, the video game music show, where me and my lovely friends talk video game music for about an hour-ish. And it's great to be back. It's been a little bit extra since last time. We did last time during Gaming for Mental Health. But this time we are bringing on a new host together with us. Welcome, Purple Haze. So glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. I know we were talking about this before, but thank you for having me, and thank you for finding time and bearing with me. So thank you both.
No, love to have you here. It's so much better to be a lot of us. Like the more we are, the more we can share music with each other, and I feel to me this show is all about like sharing everything that's amazing about video music with not just each other but also with the world, because we should celebrate it because it's awesome. And also welcome Ninja Guy X.
Hello. Yeah, so awesome to see a new co-host. I feel like when we're just two, we want to make it last longer, but we just didn't know what kind of song to put. But now that we have someone else, and I'm sure that Purple will have some new variety, right? So I'm very excited, and I'm also very excited to show what I have today. It's a song that I really like.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like we all three of us have quite different tastes in video music, so I feel like, I mean, surely we at some point we're going to share songs that we have heard before, all of us. But it's really fun to experience all this new world of video music that I hadn't heard before. So, and also, hey Ambi and hey Chili Hunter, welcome.
Ooh,
love to see you.
Oh, Chili Hunter, our I think he's been on every single show so far, so welcome, and thank you for supporting us like that, Chili Hunter. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think as our new host, I think Purple should go first. So why don't you introduce your song and talk a little bit about it, and then we can get going.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and it's not a particular song, but I will put a song, my favorite song it's a short game, so it's not like a full-on thing, but here for y'all to play, and you can see it in there, and you can automatically tell if you start playing it, you'll know. If you played the game, it'll resonate with you all. But for everybody else who cannot see it, I'm going to be talking about a song from Little Nightmares, particularly. And this is the vinyl, but particularly Little Nightmares 2, not the first one. And so what I submitted as like my favorite song from that album, and it's going to be kind of weird because what I'm going to talk about with this song, I really want to talk more about the audio design of the game and the soundtrack of the game, because I just think it's phenomenal in what they can do. And the song is Into the Hallway from that soundtrack. Hey, Roster, what's up? Hi, Ambi. And, the reason I chose Little Nightmares 2 is, for one, I love the game. But I think as far as songs that really bring in the atmosphere to the game, like it takes on almost an added importance when we talk about Little Nightmares 2, because like for those who've played the game, there's really no words. There's, whether that's spoken or written, the song has to do the music has to do so much to set the mood of the game, which is this horror game, this horror platforming game. And not only that, but because the music and the sound of the game has to do so much, there's quite a bit that goes on with audio design in the game. So for anybody who's played the game, every little interaction you have in the game correlates to a sound that has to go still with the overall flow of the music. And so if we listen to, I'm not sure if we're going to listen to the game, I can still start to the song, but we are. So you can definitely listen to that. And then I can maybe talk a little bit more about some other parts of it.
Great. Yeah. Shall we bring it up right now, maybe? Or
let's do it.
Do we want to add anything more about it before we listen to it? All right, let's do that then.
Yeah, and we can also talk during the song, also, right? Like to explain some stuff. Don't be shy. All right, let's do it. I'll wait for you to end that. Dear, you got it. All right, let's do it. giving me like a psycho vibe. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no.
exactly.
Yeah.
This part of the game, you know, to your point, it is very much about a cycle, right? Which I think is beautiful. That if you hadn't even played it, that comes to your mind, right? But I know Ninja Guy, you've probably played this many times. Um, and so,
Oh,
oh,
That's some buffering. That's fine. Like it manages also to like encapsulate the feel of the entire game. I feel, and
exactly.
it's different from the first game. I only played the first game. This one is a lot more fleshed out. The soundtrack.
Oh yeah, this one. Well, Jordan, it sounds like you played this game, and this is the last song in the game, and it just really brings everything home. Because the difference between I think the first one and the second game, and why I chose the song from the second game, is because the second game has just way more emotion in it. Um, I think this song just has like this cycle. What they're doing, right? There's this idea of time going on in the song. Um, this heartbeat. There's just so much going on right now. Just the weight of the situation and the dilemma that our character finds themselves in with. So, just phenomenal.
the clicking took like the ticking clock is such a nice element as well. It gives both of the rhythm, but also such a creepiness to it. Not to mention like the choice of instruments is really on point because it managed to feel like childy, but also but at the same time horror-y.
Right. Which I think is, like I said, even that part right there, that static is part of the song, part of the game. So it's just like there's just the booming of it, and cycling through it. So, as I said before, I wanted to, I think this song, like Bjorn, you mentioned this before, like kind of sums up the entire story of the game again. And for me, Little Nightmares, and specifically what Tobias was able to accomplish here, it's really unique. I'd like to hear who wants to be part of the podcast too. And one of the uniquenesses of this, I guess what I would call as best as the audio design of the game, is it's very rarely that you can interact with the music in a game. Like some games have just phenomenal songs, so some phenomenal tracks. But in Little Nightmares, like the music plays such a heavy role in how to navigate the game. And so to interact with it, to have music, and particularly this song, just weigh so much into it, I thought was a really beautiful way they did that.
For sure. Yeah. Like Little Nightmares is not the first games in that genre. I think Limbo is the one that popularized the genre, but Little Nightmares, like, they perfected it. Like, they really did such a good job into just the feeling of horror. And the reveals of the first one was so crazy. Like, it's just the ending was so amazing. So I bet it's the same for Little Nightmare 2, right? And um, I guess this song is just really good at just showing this type of reveal. I can assume.
Yeah, I mean, I think for those, not to do any spoilers, but they are. You find out, that there is a reason why it's part two. Towards when you play the game. But like I said, the reason I focused on this one, even though I have basically the soundtrack to all of them, was just I think the second one just did a phenomenal job of like the emotional part. Like there are two characters in the game as were in the first one. If you play the DLC, you could argue there's multiple characters, but there's like these two protagonists that are playing throughout the game. You only really play as one. Um, but yeah, so I think just the emotion that's been brought out, but then also this idea of how you interact with the music in the game. It's just really unique. And then just as I mentioned before, the audio design, like if you go over a leaf, it matters, right? If you set up a trap, it matters. Like there is a part to where uh, sometimes in video game design, there's these kind of invisible hands or invisible walls that are pushing you forward. And in Little Nightmares, it's really the music that does that. And so, again, for a game that really has no voices, no words, it really relies a lot on the audio visual cues. Even though the visual is beautiful in the game, I don't think like the audio is really what brought that game to life for me.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
I,
Ruster, he says he's very uneasy now after listening to the
yeah.
song.
I
I love
mean,
it.
I get it. It's also like the whole, especially the whole like I know that like creepy kid things like creepy toys and stuff that is a classic trope, but
Hmm.
at the same time like I feel they managed to capture that musically so well with it's like the whole bell things is like the bell melody is one
It's,
thing, but then like the marimba in the background is it really did for me because that
it's true.
feels
Hmm.
like gives it just this like
It's
cozy, it's a
like
cozy sound, but at the same time a bit it feels a bit off,
that
especially
it's
with the
like a
melody.
kids oriented, like horror type of game, right? Just by
Yeah,
listening
yeah,
to that
yeah,
song, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And one thing to Rouster's point, one thing I think, especially that track, which is the end of the hallway, uh, to me, it's not even about little kids and their nightmares, right? I think it's about all of us, right? Like if you think about, Bjorn, you've gotten to the end. It is a nightmare. Um, it comes in a little package, but at the end of the day, that just the conveying of what that is, and to do that in horror, in some of the greatest tracks in cinematic history are from horror films. And, when we think about games, a lot of times we think about the gameplay.
Hmm.
Um, but uh, to me, there's very few horror games that have this
I gotta
level
agree.
of just like it sticks with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because when you mentioned that you were gonna put like an or, I was like, oh man, Purple, she's gonna put horror music, right? And I'm not a fan of a lot of horror soundtracks. They're fun to listen um while you play the game, but soundtracks like Silent Hill, it's just not something that I listen to while just doing the dishes or something like that. But this song, I mean, it convinced me. I need to listen to the whole thing now and understand, the
yeah.
whole
But
soundtrack
I
as
mean,
well.
doesn't that come down to a bit the fact that like in horror games specifically, the and horror movies, like the music is so much more atmospheric
Yeah,
compared to
exactly.
whereas like it's like I mean in a game like Skyrim, and I mean like just walking around the town, it's just like yeah, sure you have some like nice tracks in the background, but it's like mostly there to give you like partly like it's more than just the atmosphere at that point. Whereas in horror titles, or honestly within those, that's like Skyrim for example, when you are in the dungeon where it's supposed to be a bit more creepy, the music turns so much more into an atmospheric tool, whereas compared to like in combat for example, where it's
Hmm.
just there to enhance the experience a little bit. But yeah, I feel like horror games like they've really nailed that down. But I've also found like a lot of times these more horror tracks in any game, but game soundtrack, but also specifically with horror titles in the whole soundtrack, it feels like a lot of times they are um, like there isn't that many melodies for the most part, or the melodies are usually quite like on the down low. Whereas here the melody, I felt the melody was quite front and center in a way that I feel horror soundtrack usually maybe don't. At least the ones I've
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah. I totally agree on that. I think the music of the entire game, and especially this one, like like even if you haven't played the game, like it almost lends itself to telling you what happens, right? Like in a way. And when I think of like horror films and horror media, and soundtracks and tracks that just capture that. And I'm not going to say little nightmares, into the hallways at this level, but it's almost like Jaws, right?
Hmm.
You do not even have to watch Jaws, and there's like the tempo it builds, as a person, slow down here. Uh, just is building and building, and here it kind of has that same element, right? That it's building and it's telling a story all on its own.
Yeah.
Uh, and to your point, Bjorn, a lot of like horror games actually don't necessarily do that. Like they do it maybe with lighting sometimes, or like a lot of the visual and the gameplay has to, it's more or less the music is complementing, as where I think in this regard the gameplay complements the music.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So I have. This was Little Nightmares, and the name of the game was the name of the two.
Yeah.
Yes,
Little
the,
Nightmares 2.
and the name of the song was "End of the Hall." What was it? Okay,
End of the hall. Yeah.
End of the Hall. Cool. So, guys, in the chat, just to let you know, we'll have a little bit of time if you want to share some of your music. Also, feel free to just send us a link, or just a name of the song, or a name of a game, anything, and we'll put it
Yeah,
on and put our thoughts on it for sure.
definitely. And I've seen you've queued up something here. Is it mine or yours?
It's yours. Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I suppose I'll go next. I picked this track. I mean, partly because I am actively playing the game right now and loving it, but also, like, for some reason YouTube decided, and I love them for doing it, to recommend me a video which, like, it's titled to be a reaction video, but it was more a analysis from I think it was a jazz musician who basically analyzed the this track, specifically the overture, which is basically a collection of the different themes made into one coherent song, for Hogwarts Legacy, and compare that to the first Harry Potter movie soundtrack, to get to see, John Williams wrote those. They are amazing. They're very iconic, and then it pointed out, like, many of the differences, but also specifically the similarities between them. I thought it was really cool. So that guy's name was Charles Cornell. So definitely check out his video on it.
Hmm.
Posted about a month ago. But yeah,
I'm very curious about this one because um, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, they nailed, the John Williams vibe. So now I'm like really curious. I'm gonna put like my judgment goggle and see if it's the
yeah, go for
same.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely is one of those. I mean, it's probably the highest selling game of this year so far. At least so
Hmm.
far, it's everywhere. But at the same time, like, I feel like they've, and like, the game is. I like the game, but like, the game is your basic open world RPG at the end of the day. But they really, like, the music. I feel they really nailed. Um, yeah, let's. Shall we give it a go?
Let's do it. Oh wow, it's a full
Yeah, they,
orchestrated.
they did a
Wow.
orchestrated music video, which I kind of love.
Oh yeah.
And I love what they did there, because they do, like, the first three notes is the same, so you expect the next one, and then they just go a different direction. So it feels a bit
Exactly.
mystical and a bit off.
Oh, that's a change of pace.
They specifically also like because they did a like behind this like the making of video. It was like 7 minutes, um, where they talked like the composers talked about how they wanted to bring back the like the having the like a bunch of different melodies and like the like heroicism of sounds of proper scores.
Hmm.
They felt a lot of game soundtracks these days were a bit too atmospheric focused, and they wanted to bring out melodies everywhere.
This has to be like a medley, right? Because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
just too many sections, of the
yeah.
sound.
It's basically the overture of the Unwritten is the name of the song, so it's basically a collection of the themes, but sewn together to a coherent piece. Yes, granted. This is. I think this is actually playing in some parts of the opening credits. Yes. I see what you mean, Granite. I think it might, if you listen to just like the theme on its own, I think part of this overture. Or it might leave you humming the John Williams one, which is perfectly fine because it's connected. I think they use a university choir, by the way, for that.
Oh,
If I remember
wow.
correctly.
Yeah, the quality is really good. I feel like this should have been like a 20-minute song. I feel like it
Yeah,
should have
and to
been
be fair,
extended.
I think it's like 6 hours of music written for the game,
Oh, wow.
which
I need
is
to
a
listen to
lot.
it. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we can talk more about the length of video game soundtracks
Yeah.
maybe later during the show because Hogwarts Legacy is the game.
That was great. I love it. The thing is, I feel like I should be like reviewing like 6 songs, right?
Yeah, to be fair, I intentionally picked the overture so that to give like in one song give the
Mhm.
biggest scope of the soundtrack. So
Yeah.
it's like here the
The
different
whole
sides of it.
thing.
Yeah, I mean they had one. Why not use it? Like
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Love
I
it.
definitely think it did a really well. I mean, I think, let me put it this way. I think this sound or the director, had to do so much. Like the stakes were so high with this game,
oh yeah,
right? For them and to be able to deliver something that is both people who maybe did not watch the movies, only read the books, and vice versa, for them to relate to. This game, I think, did that. Or this soundtrack and the overture just giving us a sampling of that. You can kind of imagine just listening to it again. Um, where we are in the game. So I thought that was pretty cool, just listening to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I like that. The first part was definitely like super Harry Potter. Like it's that's what it gave me for the style. The second part felt more like a Studio Ghibli kind of soundtrack. I really enjoyed that. That
Yeah.
was really cool. And then that's like the two that I remember the most. And it went into other songs, but they were really all enjoyable for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
and like
yeah.
the funny thing about that opening theme is basically what they said it was like the composer took a look at, like, obviously, John Williams Hedwig's theme is the one that we most connect to Harry Potter,
Yeah.
and the world of Hogwarts. So what they did was essentially take, like, but what if that theme had like, there's some ancient lore to it, so that it's like there was an older version of that theme 200 years, like, or 100 years prior, and then that made that theme into like the theme of this ancient magic that's in the game. So meaning that it's one of the most prominent themes in the game.
Mm.
So that's like, it is intentionally building on that Hedwig theme, and they did that with a couple of other themes as well, where it's like the first 3 or 4 notes is the same, and then they move over into something else. So yeah, and like this, as I mentioned, this guy Charles Cornell, he really dives deep into like the structural like building blocks of that, in a really cool way.
Do you know more about the composer? Do you know like what other works he did?
It's a bunch of composers. It's like
Oh
so J. Scott Rakosi is the main one, and I hadn't heard this name before.
no, it
But
doesn't ring a
and
bell.
I think the credits is like five names or something.
Hmm.
For the whole soundtrack.
It's a type of
It's really amazing.
soundtrack where they might hire a movie, composer because it's definitely
Yeah,
like a top. Like an expensive soundtrack. I'm going to call it because they really
yeah,
hire some of the top composers to do these types of songs.
yeah. I saw a comment from Rob Landis, the violin guy on YouTube, who, I don't know if you've seen him, but really talented violinist, who said that he has some like friends who played instrument for the soundtrack. And
Ah,
that they like and he said that according to, he had heard from them that everyone involved in making the soundtrack is like poured their heart and soul into it, and it shows, in a way, I feel, and like they really, um so like the whole fact that they have put in so much music, but also like whenever you find a piece of a book piece in a book page in the game, you have this musical notes playing. Where when you level up, there's another musical cue. It's like small cues of like 5 to 10 notes, but they're all littered all over the game. As soon as you do something, you get this nice little musical cue,
hmm,
um, which is so like the music feels a bit more front and center than I expected going in. Um, but
that's
I
cool.
really like it.
Yeah, I enjoy that when they do that. They put little music cues instead of just putting like a sound design, just like a beep or something like that. They just do like a full little soundtrack for every achievement or everything you do. So that's cool.
Yeah, and it's a bit less like annoying than what the Witcher 3 had with their massive choir screaming at you every time you die.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that part, but it got a bit old after a while.
different.
Whereas this one feels like it's a bit more mellow, so
Yeah, yeah.
it connects well. And
Mhm.
so yeah, but it's funny that, like, funny thing that they mentioned is like the amount of sound music they wrote, like well over 6 hours,
Mm,
which
Six hours.
that's
yeah,
crazy.
and I mean,
So
one of the longest soundtracks that I've heard, like Cyberpunk, is also known for having massive amounts of music. Has like just over 6 hours.
wow.
But I think the
I
record for the most music though is It Takes Two, 15
Well,
hours
Bjorn, you have
for
to
a 16
take
hour game.
you have to think of also Guild Wars 2 and all of these soundtracks, right? Like they have
Yeah, but
expansions and
even they like, if you connect all, like the Guild Wars, like the Guild Wars 2, for example, uses the music from Guild Wars 1 as well. Like it uses all
mm.
of the tracks from the whole entire franchise, and even then, that's like 7 8 hours.
Okay. Well, Final Fantasy 14 has over 30 hours of music.
Okay, yeah,
That that's the
that's
longest one
probably
that
what's
I
up there.
know. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
no, that's incredible. Well, I think obviously the cool thing about right now is the beginning half of this year. Uh, we already have a few contenders for game of soundtrack of the year. So,
Yeah,
and I think this is going to be up there for sure.
Mm.
Um,
yeah,
very solid work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the game doesn't make the list of Game of the Year. I would, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it does make the Game of the Year list. The game is good. It's great. It's not. It's just not like it's not revolutionary in
Oh,
any sense of the way. So like I can see it make the list. I can also see it not make the list. But the
well,
soundtrack
soundtrack of the
definitely
year, I
is.
think it's definitely going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
probably be
Soundtrack of the year definitely gonna be on the list.
soundtrack of the
Mm,
year.
mm.
And that's the one I think,
Yeah,
if right now, knowing what's coming out and what I've heard so far, it's going to probably be pretty hard to unseat that from what
Yeah.
I've heard so far.
yeah,
For me this year, my favorite so far is Hi-Fi Rush for sure. I really enjoy the upbeat music in there, but that's just me. But it's different.
It's going to be a contender as well, but
Yeah,
I think this one, I don't know. I could see them going this way.
yeah,
Just,
yeah,
I think
yeah. Like I
Hyper
said,
Rush make it
this.
sound
Yeah,
design.
Hi-Fi Rush might make the list.
yeah. I
But I
think
feel
it will. Yeah,
but I feel like currently Hogwarts Legacy probably is a contender for the actual
you're
award.
right. Yeah,
I think it's gonna get. I mean, I don't think we've heard many of the tracks, if any, from the one from the game alluded to by your T-shirt, Purple, the new Zelda game. That will probably also make the lists if I
Ah,
know, like
I
it
think
feels like it.
Nintendo usually makes the list, but I'm not sure. I think they always put a very solid effort in, and we can always say that about Nintendo, but there's always going to be, we talked about it before, Diablo 4 probably will make the list as well.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate
So
should make the list. Also great music.
oh
but
yeah,
it's going to
Also,
be really
but
exciting,
then
but
again,
if
I
it
feel
has
like
a rough,
yeah, I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 will probably make the list. I don't think it will win the list, win
no.
best music because it is like it's good. It's really good, but
Yeah,
it's not it doesn't top. I don't think it will top the list.
it's a crazy
Um,
year. It's so
yeah,
crazy.
crazy
Like
year.
2023 is. Oh my gosh! Like I'm in heaven. Like there's just so many good music, good games out
Yeah,
there, and it's not even
definitely.
over. Like we're only in April, right? So oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, how about you introduce your game next?
All right, let's do it.
We're going a bit
You know
more old
me.
school now.
Yeah, I'm always the different guy. We're going back to 1986, a game that came out in that year.
wow.
But back then, Japanese people from Japan, they already nailed the music. In my opinion, they already had like awesome music, especially in arcades. I'm trying to think of games from the arcades, like shoot 'em ups. I'm just having some blanks, but anyway, they have amazing music. And I want to show a song from Outrun. So Outrun is an arcade game where you just race. You have to go through these checkpoints in time, and you have to get to the end without crashing too much, or else you run out of time and you have to restart. Now Outrun, like in the late 70s, early 80s, there's a band called Cassiope who made this made fusion jazz popular within just racers, people who race. They just made like just fusion jazz like super popular for some reason, and they that's what they did with Outrun. They just like kind of like made it the same kind of style, the Japanese fusion jazz, and it's just a song that I really enjoyed. But the thing is, what I decided to do is Sega, the Sega team, they actually had a band back in the late 80s, early 90s. They were called SST Band, which is a Sega Sound Team band, basically. And they made a song. They made like a cover song for Outrun, and this is actually what I want to show you guys. I just want to show you the arrangement that they did for the song. The original song is also really good, but I just decided to put a little bit more quality. And I do have the vinyl, of course. Just want to show off a little bit. This is actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first vinyl video game I ever bought. So this is from Data Disc. It is one of my oldest, and it has the first side has songs from their first game, but then the other side has songs from Outrun from the 3DS, and the Mega Drive and other games from the series. So definitely one of my favorite soundtrack out there. So yeah. So I think I said everything I needed to say. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead
So
and
we've gone from atmospheric horror melodies to orchestral AAA things, and now
Overture.
we're going to. And now we're going into fusion jazz from the 80s. But I love it.
let's do it.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
All right.
I mean, it already makes you happy, right?
Ah, I love this song so much. And the thing is, it's a 5-hour ongoing song. It doesn't repeat, and that's another thing that I like about the song.
Wait, what? It doesn't repeat for 5 hours?
There's like solos at some point, and yeah, it's really good.
Wow.
It's because of the. I guess they wanted the game to not have a song repeated, like because it's a long kind of game, racing game, right? And they didn't want to repeat it. It does repeat, but there's just like different sections in the song, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this the 5-hour version that we're listening to now, or is it the...
It's definitely a 5-hour song. Yeah. Is that what you ask? Wait, let me lower down the volume a little bit.
Oh, so this is a 5-minute one version.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's 5 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel we did a comeback of this style of music in games, right?
They did a comeback?
And we need one.
Oh yeah, they did a game called Whiz and Cheese Turbo that came out a few years ago, and it's kind of similar to this, and it's really really fun. Cruster.
This is a 5-minute version of that 5-hour song. So
yeah, exactly.
It won't be that long. Luckily for me, because eventually I need to sleep. But
yeah.
Not for a while. Not for a while yet.
Here's the steel drum.
Nice. Like that steel drum feels very much like it reminds me of playing, being a kid, being at my friend's house playing Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong.
Steel drums.
Nice. Neil.
Yes, Neil.
Nice.
I agree. And like that piano solo was nice.
Yeah. I think we're gonna hear some electric guitar solo soon, but that part is not in the original game. They just added it in the band. Yeah.
I feel like I should send this song to my dad.
Really?
He's a big fan of jazz, but he plays in two different jazz bands currently.
Nice.
I've been playing in jazz bands for as long as I can remember, so I think he would enjoy this.
Let me know what he thinks if you do send it to him.
Yeah, I mean he's a bass player, so.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
That's the guitar.
But in the 80s, did the music sound like this in the game as well, or was it more chiptune?
Yeah, I can show a little piece of the original game if you'd like to. After that.
Yeah. Hey, Crow.
Hey, Skid
Hope you
Crow.
enjoy the music.
There you go. That was Outrun. Yeah, I could show you like a little piece of the original, and you'll see that it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just something to take into consideration when you listen to that is that it's a song from 1986, right? And
What
back
does it
then,
sound like?
1986, like think of the music back then, like Atari and like was did the Nintendo came out in 86? Like,
It was out in 85, but they had the prototype in 84. But one thing that this song reminded me of when I think about 1986, and I always like to think about, this came from Sega, um, is a movie that came out in 1986 that I remember pretty well from back then, and it was Crocodile Dundee, right? Have you ever heard, like, for
Yeah.
some reason when I heard this song, it kind of put me in that same mindset. I don't know for anybody else who watched Crocodile Dundee, but it puts me in that same mindset. And just so happens that they're both from 1986. And a lot of times I'm wondering if there was some sharing there of music, but that's what immediately when it played, I was like, oh, I know what this is. So
oh my
that
gosh, I haven't heard about Crocodile Dundee in so long. Like, I need.
Yeah,
I,
it's been a while since I watched saw any of those movies. They made a couple, right? It was not just one, so a couple.
yeah, yeah, I didn't even
Um,
know that was this old. Actually, I thought it was like from the early 90s.
oh wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I would also assume the early '90s
yeah.
for Crocodile Day, but yeah, great movie.
Yeah, let me just show
Yeah,
a little piece of the original here.
yeah. Like this feels more like impressive for '86, but it feels more like '86.
Yeah, I dig. Yeah, for sure, with the sound cards and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But there's the steel drums again.
yeah. I mean, even for '86, I would say this is impressive music.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this is probably more music than most kids put in at that time.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my pick. I don't know why. Like, I decided I didn't know if I was gonna show a song between. Wait, what did I had in mind again? I had. Oh my gosh, I had two songs in mind, and then I was like, oh, forget. I'm showing Outrun, but yeah, it's kind of funny that I ended up in that direction.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
But hey, also chat. I mean, we did see Neil mentioned Outward. Did I know you play Outward? Uh,
I didn't get
Neil
a
was
chance
saying.
to play it. Every time I was asking the community, they just said like avoid it with a 10-foot pole for some reason. I don't know why, but they
Yeah, because
they just
apparently it
didn't
has
want me to play
some.
it.
Apparently, it has a great soundtrack. Like
Hmm.
Neil, do you mean like should we bring up the main theme, or do you have
Oh,
any specific recommendation maybe?
yeah, let's have a look. We can find it. Oh yeah, it's right there. Perfect. Uh, uh, hmm. I don't know. Let me check if there's any popular songs in there. Uh, no, there's nothing that comes up, but we can put the main theme for sure.
Yeah, let's bring up the main theme, and then maybe we can like. I don't think we. I think pushing in both of them might be hard, but maybe we can put in Spy Hunter Arcade or Mortal Kombat Arcade.
Ooh, oh,
For our
interesting
listeners'
one.
favorites.
Nice.
But yeah, let's have a listen.
All right. Let me volume a little bit higher here, and there you
Jean-Francois Racine.
go. Racine, huh? Racine in English means roots.
Huh.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm putting that higher.
Yeah, bring it up. Yeah, this is
Like
going on my
solid,
playlist.
Neil. This is solid.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Definitely like instant playlist.
Yeah. Got some chills.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, I love that string part. Oh, nice addition with the horns as well. I feel like it manages to keep like both be otherworldly, but while also keeping like classic fantasy orchestra things. Like, nice mix of the two.
Why is this so good? Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so good. Oh wow.
Yeah, I can see if it takes 30 hours to get used to the mechanics, I can see people giving up.
Tabarnouche. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Well, like that pan flute is just such a great addition to it.
Yeah.
There we go. Add it to the library.
You know what? I should probably do the same.
Oh, so each zone has a own theme. Yeah, that's nice. There's an even better one. Hallowed Marsh. Okay, I mean, I don't think I think we're gonna listen to that on our load songs, but definitely going to do that.
That is awesome. Oh, second song starting now. Oh no, it's not. It's still the first song. Wow. Oh man, I love the selection of instrument that they use. They use like
Yeah,
acoustic guitar picking. They use the piano for a bit. They use the pan flute. Yeah, it's
yeah. While
amazing.
also keeping that orchestral backbone, so to speak. Yeah,
Yeah,
loved that.
it was
Definitely.
amazing.
I mean, definitely. I think this would fit so well in like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign as well. Like as
Hmm.
background music things.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
I know that it's up your alley. I know this is the type of music that you
oh
like,
yeah,
George.
yeah, yeah.
So
This is
that's
up my
cool.
alley, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, welcome, Serena. Nice to see you here. And Crow, do you have any specific preferred pick between Spy Hunter or Mortal Kombat,
I mean,
or do
if
any
it
of you have
doesn't,
a
I do
preference?
enjoy Mortal Kombat Arcade. It's a very good song music.
Yeah,
But
let's bring up the then.
okay, sounds good. I see. Like I already, I already searched it. I listen to it once in a while. Um, I mean, yeah, I might as well put the first
I feel like
song.
he said I think it was a specific title screen. I mean I know I've definitely heard this before, but I can't
Mhm.
for the life of me remember how it sounds.
Got choose your fighter, battle plan, hmm.
Choose your fighter
Continue.
probably then.
Yeah, I'll put title screen. Choose your fighter. Let's do it. Oh yeah, I used to have the vinyl of this, but I don't have it anymore. Ding 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 ding.
Oh, granted, yes, World of Goo, amazing game, amazing soundtrack. One of the best puzzle games I've ever played, I think. Oldie but goodie.
So, Crow, do you enjoy the first Mortal Kombat arcade music better than the second one? Because Mortal Kombat 2 arcade has some really, really good music too. Which one do you prefer?
I love the way that like the synth bass is like building.
Yeah,
It
like
feels like it's building, but it's not actually building.
no, it's yeah because it's a choose your fighter, right? So it's just repeated over and over. But I feel like Mortal Kombat always have the same type of instrument though. Like they always keep the same like selection of instrument, which differentiate it from other types of games. I don't know what kind of instruments it's trying to mimic though. For the original, just because of the nostalgia, it's what I remember going to the arcade and seeing it for the first time. Yeah, I see what you mean.
See, I didn't have that experience because we didn't have arcades when I grew up.
Shame. Did you had any arcade growing up, Purple?
Say it again.
Did you had any arcade growing up? Did you play any?
Did I play any? Yeah, I did. I mean, I played Mortal Kombat in the arcade. I played Street Fighter. Those were the big ones. But also Ninja Turtles. I actually remember playing Super Mario Brothers in the arcade. Actually, um,
What?
yeah, there was an arcade for Super Mario Brothers. It's the exact same as NES. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's probably my first introduction to video games, and then later on, uh, the Nintendo and stuff started to come out. So.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I've never seen a Mario arcade, but that must have been
Oh
so fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can still think, but you can maybe still find. But yeah, it was like the first introduction to video games.
I think so. When I was young, I had a friend. Her name was Priscilla, and her dad used to work at the movie theater. And whenever an arcade would break, they would just get rid of it. So he would pick all of these arcades, fix them up, and put it in his basement. So whenever I would go,
Nice.
yeah. So whenever I would go visit her, we'd be like an arcade paradise, like in her basement. She has so many cool games. She had like the Pac-Man table. She had a bunch of fighting games. There was a lot of arcade games with multiple games inside it, like but I don't remember exactly like what were all the games. But yeah, and then when I was young, also my parents used to bring me in this camping ground where they had arcade, and I played a lot of Bubble Bobble and a lot of Metal Slug. These were like the two that I played a lot.
Arcades are fun. I mean, they're obviously part of video game history. So, um, but I never thought. I'm so glad you shared the game you shared, just because it was we don't think about that in the sometimes in the when we talk about the legacy of games, even on Shades of Purple, right? I think there's only been like one or two people who've brought up out of almost the 50 people I've interviewed arcades, and so I'm so glad you like brought some attention to the art of the arcades.
Yeah, so the thing is, people like me, I guess, like arcade is just like a side thing, right? Because it's like I wasn't playing with friends or anything like that because I was just playing when I was at the camping ground or something like that. But I've seen people with so many cool memories of the arcade where they were actually like bullying people to get money, right? To get the arcades, and they would go there every night and play. These are like the cool stories that I'd like to hear. I hope that we get to hear that from someone on Shades of Purple at some point.
I may have to bring in. I'll have to bring in someone who talk like Holtz talked about arcades, but yeah, no, I think we'll see, we'll see. But you're making me want to go play an arcade right now.
Oh, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, I think like I say, I mean, we didn't have arcades since Sweden at all. I think when I there was some like a youth center near where I lived that I rarely visited that had a flipper game. That was the
That's
closest thing
it.
I got, like I ever got.
That's like
Um,
pinball flipper.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
okay?
pinball.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean that was fun. I mean pinball was
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
yeah an awesome thing
So
too.
So yeah, not many arcades here. Still don't have
Well,
that many. It's like a
pinballs are still pretty exciting, right? That kind of
Yeah.
precursor to arcades. And like
yeah,
I remember when there was like where I was when I was younger, you had like two sides. You had like all the pinball machines on one side and all the arcades on the other. And it was like kind of a gradual shift from like pinballs to arcades, where people spent. But pinballs are still, I mean, talk about high scores and leaving your mark. Pinballs are,
yeah,
Yeah. Now the legacy is in high scores in video games, right? Like when Atari brings back those recharge games that you can register your. I know it's not a good example. I know that Centipede is your nightmare for police, but
I
but
love Centipede. I
oh, you
love.
do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had one of the highest scores there for Centipede for a while, and then I gave Project Storm my secret, and he exploded with it. But
Oh, that's crazy. Oh my
yeah,
yeah. And I
gosh.
mean, like
Times.
going back to pinballs, I think it's also like a fun side fact. Dice, the who went on to make Battlefield, massive
Yeah.
company. They started out making digital pinball games. That's was their
Oh
first.
wow.
That was their hits that brought them to market, onto the market. So they did some, like they were basically a group on the demo scene who then made something cool. So a company basically asked them like could you make a pinball game for us that we can publish on one of the consoles, and they built it, and that's how Dice got off their feet basically.
Nice.
Um,
I love it when companies start really small and then they grow up to be, battlefield creators and stuff like
yeah, I
that.
mean there are more than a couple over here
Yeah.
in Stockholm alone, it'll all Sweden. So.
Hmm, cool.
But guys, I should probably head to bed because it's midnight now.
thank you for staying up,
So
Lauren. I'm so sorry.
so thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll schedule the next session to somewhere around the end of the month, early May, and we'll keep doing it for as long as we can. I love doing this because video game music is amazing. I love celebrating it, and I love doing it with you guys.
Definitely. I'll never run out of songs.
That's
So
right.
so
I
you
have a
don't we'll
super
be doing this
exciting one.
forever.
I have a
Yeah.
super exciting for next one. I had like five of them. And I was like, which one am I gonna go with? So I want to get this
Right.
one over. Now
I
I
know.
want to.
I had like three to pick from going into this one, and then I have another. Oh, I just doing this show. I've thought of two more. So, yeah. Um. So yeah. See you guys in about a month.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll see you before then as well. Because we'll have run into each other in other areas as well, probably.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
until then, have a great evening. Goodbye,
Bye
guys.
everyone.